Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Boys Love Iland, the show where RJ and I are both going to discuss the 2020 hit, 2020 piece of trauma that is Iland.
Yeah. Episode 2 kicks
2
us right off with
right to it because
you gotta
guess
decide.
what?
4
we have
girls,
16 girls,
and there's 12 beds.
and there's 12 spots. There's
12 everything. 12 beds, 12 cups,
12 forks.
12 toothbrushes.
Yes.
12 chairs. So they needed to cut 4 people off the island, and everyone's like exploring the rooms and everything, and it's fully giving Big Brother. It was like the first thing.
It's very Big Brother. As someone who's never watched
seen
Big Brother, it's very
giving
Big Brother. Yeah. This is what I imagine Big Brother is.
Yes, it's a lot of like finding people to talk to, like secretly to like talk about like what are you gonna do.
The ethical conundrum of the show is like Big Brother is a show where people join the show and they know what it's going to do. This is a show where these contestants, these applicants, they did not expect any of this. And Big Brother is a mind game. Like that's the whole thing, is like it's a strategy, it's a social strategy game.
And here they don't expect to be thrown into a mind game in that way.
Right.
Because if they were like, we're going to do a survival show.
There is always, I guess, a mind game element to a survival show in general. But most of the time it's, you're just trying to like win over the people watching the show.
Yes.
And that is not what's going on here. As they explore Iland, they find the kitchen, basically. And when I tell you, there's something so enjoyable about watching like any Korean media because they get so excited about food. Mm-hmm. And it's very endearing because I just don't think like in America we view food the same way.
Yeah.
We've also not been through the same historical precedent that Korea has as well. But it's very sweet. And then also it's teenage boys. So it's also
teenage boys. That's the only thing they care about. My God, is food.
Yeah.
All they do is eat.
What is your ideal? You walk in there, what is the one thing you want to find?
Probably like a cold drink is what I would first want. A Chilsung cider.
For me, for some reason, I watched it and I was like, oh, I would want a Pringle. I don't know why.
We would take a Pringle. We would take the Philadelphia cream cheese. And we would scrape a little bit of cream cheese using the Pringle.
How?
And then
Pringles like famously do not hold up.
They used to before. And then they changed the formula, too much water or something. Because you know about Pringles. The crisps, they're not chips because they are made up of small, like dehydrated mashed potato flakes.
Yeah,
formed into these
into what a parabola, whatever the hell that is. Yeah. So anyway, about Iland and Pringles, this is the part of the show where I paused what we were watching, and I turned to you, and I said, "I want you to guess." Just guess some people that you think they're gonna vote out.
Yeah, Taki was obviously was a clear one just because he was the cliffhanger from the last episode.
Yes,
Jake and Youngbin, I just felt like they were probably because they were saying like they're the least amount of training, so that's why I felt it. I held out, feeling that like okay, they all voted Sunoo in, so that was I was holding out on that.
I will say I cheated because I have seen that. You've seen all the Sunoo moments, yeah. So I remember that I didn't realize when I watched that compilation that they were the ones that vote.
I know that like Sunoo goes back and forth a lot. Yes. That's from what I remember from the clips that I have seen.
While they wait, there's like 2 hours where they have to like do the all stars. Like I'd love to meet everybody over here.
Can I steal you for a sec? Yeah. And it's them. It's Katya and Alaska. And Alaska says, I really want to stay. And Katya goes, party.
Party. That's what she says. Party.
Party.
So San I mean, if there's somebody who immediately picks up that this is a mind game, it's Son.
Yeah.
Because he's fully like, oh
He
my
is
God, I want to be with you, bro.
campaigning.
I want to like do this show with
He
you,
was like,
my brother.
you know, when I first walked in here, I was like, I gotta be in the debut group with you.
Yeah. As soon as I saw you dance, I said, holy shit, bro.
Yeah, he's playing the game.
Smart. I mean,
Smart.
That's the show.
Game.
That's the game.
And I think that you're right. There is that like ethical thing about it, because there will be people who are older and wiser that will see that right away and will do it right away.
Yeah.
And obviously people will come in with their own, as we'll see today, with their own ways of like how they were trained and kind of lead with that, because that's their experience so far. But being in a place like this where, you know, you just have each other.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like he just went for everyone that was like the big hit trainees. Mm-hmm. He went to different people.
Yeah. He played the game.
That like are from different groups.
I just made a note that I wish the cameras were in 4K. Because there's a bit of a blur.
There's a blur,
situation
and I think it's because they put so many cameras in there,
and they're zooming in,
and they're zooming in a lot. I think they're going for more. Let's make sure everything can be seen.
Yeah,
rather than like.
But they also chose because they have those cameras that like follow you as you move.
Yeah,
they did not install those. These are all static cams, and I think that almost. I mean, it would have been more expensive to do a bunch of cameras that followed, but I think it's purposeful. In that it helps that they would forget that they're being filmed.
There, yeah.
Because if you have something that's continuously following you, then you're going to be reminded.
It, yes.
But if they're just a part of the environment and they just start to become like static objects in the room, you like forget that you're under surveillance. These are the 4 in order from the highest number of votes that get sent to ground.
God, I mean, it's starting now, girl.
Up first is Sunoo.
10 votes. And you made a very good point about this one, because you were like, they are being told that they need to pick the 12 that needs to like be the strongest.
If I was here, I'm putting myself in the environment. And I've watched the songs that were all chosen for them to audition with.
Yep.
I would immediately be like, the concept of this group is like harder or just like more whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Sunoo is so good at Crown. He's so good at Bright. He's really an all-rounder in terms of concept. He really meets concepts where they are.
Totally.
But
he's a performer.
He's a professional. But I feel like I also, if I was one of them, be like, oh, well, that's not the vibe they're looking for.
Yeah, I don't think
we have to vote people out.
Yeah.
That being said, no. Sungchul, Taki, and EJ.
Yeah. And they did this whole thing making you think that Daniel was going to be the one voted out, and EJ...
Because EJ voted for Daniel.
Because EJ voted for Daniel, but it ended up being EJ instead.
And Taki's whole thing was Niki voted Taki out, which we kind of touched on last week, but he was like... I think it's like... Niki is like professionally trained and had been a backup dancer for so long, whereas like Taki is like from... has self-taught.
I love to dance, yes.
Right. And I do think there is like I think there can be a dancer mentality of like...
Yes, absolutely.
People who have not done it the correct way are not true dancers.
Or at least just... I wouldn't even say it to that extent. I mean, yes, that happens.
I'm not saying that that's necessarily what Niki was thinking.
I think when Niki's thinking, it's just more like discipline and... Yeah. Because, I mean, we'll see it in this episode. Niki is like skill first. Like, he's like, but I'm the most technically proficient in the entire group.
Yes.
And that should say
my resume
something.
says, I am proficient at Microsoft Excel, honey.
It's like showing up with the best, like skills, But
Yeah.
ultimately knowing being an idol is not just one thing. It's a whole
so many
it's
things.
so
I mean, it's
many
so many
thi-
things.
That's
Because
why
the other
it's
thing I think
hard
about
to
too
do.
is like the ground boys are like not disciplined.
Yes.
And the Iland boys have, I would say, more pressure, honestly. But they are like doing rehearsing. There's no like, they're not showing us the frivolity that they're having.
The narrative that they're showing, yes.
Because even when they do have a moment of levity, it's still like they're
they're
doing
like freestyling.
So it's
To,
still
like,
like
impress
they're
each other.
practicing, kind of.
As opposed to ground, they're like learning choreography on their own. They're
But also
eating,
having
they're
fun,
having
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would rather be in the ground.
I would
group.
rather be in ground.
They look like they're having a good time.
They look like they're having fun. They get to sleep in quarters that are not videotaped to what we know, because it's only episode 2.
Say that.
You know.
RJ, this is where you made a note that, well, let's say, for metaphor's sake, this is Crash Landing. Do you want to speak on this?
I said it was fully giving Crash Landing because
In what way?
Iland was giving
Soul.
Well, you know, one location in Crash Landing where it's like technically savvy. And
There's excess.
Yes, excess.
Yeah.
Yes. And then Ground was giving the other location in Crash Landing, which was, it felt more like rural.
Sure, more
Village, desolate village outpost.
dystopian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Everyone wears the same things. You know?
Yeah. Very Crash Landing in that way.
The goal is to want to be in the future.
Yeah. I do so far, right? We've only seen 2 episodes. So far, I do think it's smart that the contestants vote for each other.
Yeah.
And I like that the producers have
They're really
an actual role in the show
yes.
other than just like being a mentor.
Yes.
What's crazy is like they do seem alone. It seems like all the staff is behind walls. So they're just doing like we're not in the Boys Planet situation where they show up late to our rehearsal and get yelled at by the producers.
Yes.
You know what it reminds me of, honestly, is Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
There's just something very like
these just kids that are
they're
on their own.
dropped in. Yeah, they're on their own and they have to like figure it out and chaos ensues.
It's very Mask and Iland. It's very much
it's very interesting how they have self-selected who is in what group.
Yes.
And in no way am I insinuating anything about any of the contestants' beliefs or anything like that.
It's truly just.
But there is an extent of like you can see
we're keeping
what is more
important to them.
What
qualities in the applicants they feel are more valuable, important strength that
huge strength and
that while
confidence.
Watching it just read very masculine.
Yes. In a way that Ground does read Baby Girl.
Yeah.
More so than Iland.
Yeah. It's just so fascinating. Because even when they were doing that like freestyling, I was like, this is so straight. Like so masculine of just them like, look what I can do, look what I can do, look what I can do.
Yes.
But I was like, oh, if
that is the boy thing that like I did not get when I was little.
Same.
I was like raised with all girls and I just like do not have that like I have the show off thing to some extent because I obviously did theater, but I didn't have it. I never wanted to do it in the room with people. Like I always wanted it to be like I have a rehearsed performance and you come and see the thing. Like
it was when I was little, I was playing Charmed with my friends, running like we were the Hallowell sisters. So no, we were also not doing this mask energy. That's what it feels like. It feels like recess.
Yes.
Like playing basketball at recess.
Yes.
And it's like,
watch me throw this free throw.
Hey, yeah.
Bitch, I do not care.
And over and over again.
I don't care.
It's so crazy.
This is not a part of my psyche in any way. Yeah. I do not engage with this. I really try not to look down on it because I do understand that this is like really rewarding for people to.
Yes, and this is like
this
their
kind of,
passion,
like, yeah.
absolutely. And for them, it's like, wow, I'm with other people that like love dance and like performing so much.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating because it's just reading.
And they're like making friends. Like
Yes,
that's the sweetest part is like
Yes.
you can see them already building friendships. It's
Making
very
relationships. Sweet. But it's just reading so
yes.
mask.
Yep. So this is when we find out.
The challenge, the first challenge.
There are going to be 4 tests throughout the course of the show. The first test is the signal song. We've done this before. Every show has its signal song test. We love to see it. How do you feel? Just pure song. What do you think about the signal song? I don't even remember what it's called.
Into the Island.
Oh, yes.
Into the Island.
Into the Island. Into the Island.
I think Here I Am is still the best one. Because there's something evocative out of this. This song alone, doesn't feel exciting. It feels yearning.
There's 4 tests, first test, signal song. Basically what's going to happen is they are going to get individual scores after their test. They are going to average out all of those scores. And then based on the number that the average is assigned a certain like amount of people that are going to be sent from Iland to ground. And then meanwhile, the producers have been watching the ground trainees who send in a video every day of what they've practiced.
They're dailies. Yeah.
Okay. And depending on how many move out of Iland into ground, they are going to send that equal number of ground to Iland.
Yeah. I mean...
And it's still them voting on who leaves Iland.
Yes.
It's still the contestants.
So yes. So in Iland, however many they have to get rid of, they have to decide who those are. The most is 6. The least is 0.
The least is 0, the most is 6. That is the width, the breadth.
Boy. Okay, so
how many at this point in the competition do you think they all think
that it's 12?
There are 12 people in this debut group?
I think so. I think
That's what I would think.
Believe.
Tell me if like during the show, if like in episode 2, everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to be a 12-member group."
Yeah.
I'm interested to see when the reveal is that it's only 7. The song, as they all are, is high.
If it's not in your range, it's not in your range, right? That's how songs work. That's how people's voices work. No matter if Niki trained all week to sing high, it just doesn't happen. I don't think.
If there's a big criticism of hybe,
yeah,
I would say their focus is not on vocals.
I would say
SM's thing is they are vocals forward.
Yes. It feels like hybe is very much like this is a unified group. You are watching a group.
Yes.
That is like cohesive.
I would almost say that hybe's thing is like I'm giving you a bunch of performers.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Also not saying there are no vocalists in hybe because
no, of course not.
So we're just talking.
2 of the greatest vocalists in K-pop are in 17. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Yeah.
I think dance is more, but also I think that's generally. I think that's 4th gen though. Really.
Yeah,
I think 4th gen is when it really pushed.
But the thing is, they know that they did that. They cast it that way, and then the first challenge is a high song. Do you know what I mean? Like that's.
Yeah. I mean, there are cast members who are hitting it.
Yeah.
Because.
But I also think a lot of the people that probably can sing this are in ground.
Are grounded. They got grounded. Yeah.
You know, I was never grounded because my parents had no. To this day, I don't think knows what that is.
This is not surprising. I don't think there is a main vocal.
Yes, I think their skills are all pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
In enhypen.
Totally.
Which makes it, that's the thing, the goal of this group
it's very TXT
is
in that way.
Because all of the concepts that they give to enhypen work because their skills are all evenly balanced.
Yeah. I think over time TXT has like kind of honed in on what
Yes.
each member kind of likes more.
Absolutely.
But like TXT when they debuted, they were all just kind of like they're
Squeaky.
all the same.
They're cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my favorite vocals in enhypen are Jungwon, but heesung also really. I mean, they all sound good. That like live Polaroid love, iconic. So yeah, poor Jay is struggling. It's okay, baby.
Poor Jay struggling.
And Niki has already learned the choreo.
I know.
It's like I'm just so not a dancer. It's so
not
impressive.
a dancer, so it's always so impressive to see people that have this like Lisa's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not a photographic memory. There's a word for it, like kinetic memory or something like that, where you can watch something in motion and easily like replicate it.
Yeah, mirror it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But this is the thing. This is the inherent difference between dance and singing. Is like dance, you can watch your body in a mirror and like watch a video of what it's supposed to look like and like slowly recreate it and figure out what you're doing wrong because you're seeing it. So much of singing, because you also can't hear yourself in the way that
other people hear it, because you can't hear yourself, but you don't hear it.
It sounds different.
Yes, yeah.
And so it's so hard that you need a vocal coach to be like, here's what you're doing wrong. And so much of it is internal that it's like you need someone there to be like, oh, you're not breathing correctly. You're not, lifting your soft palate, honey. You're not doing the things.
Make the cavity in your mouth. Put the egg in your mouth.
In Iland, they decide
They decide the
P01
parts.
through P12.
They decide the parts. And everyone nominates heesung.
No one volunteers.
No one volunteers to be P01.
And everyone nominates
heesung. And so he's like, I don't want to do. He doesn't. I don't think he says I don't want to do it. But he says okay. I didn't want. He's like, I wasn't going to volunteer.
Yes.
But he does it.
And he accepts.
Woohoo!
Then we head into. Oh my God!
It's this part is so crazy, and like I don't.
It's crazy because editing the show, they did not know who is going to be in this group.
No, absolutely not. So it's just very interesting to see how it pans out. Like who does what?
You would never show a current idol like this.
Yeah, but
it's crazy.
Jay auditions for every single part, but
because 2 through 7 or 2 through 8,
2 through 7 have two lines,
and the other
8 just have one.
8 to 12 have one. And the more, obviously, you want more time in the center because then you're more memorable, blah, blah, blah.
And
every single
time Jay auditioned for a part, he did not get it. And it's not to his, that's the thing. It was never about him sounding bad in each time.
No, because there were actually a couple times where I disagreed.
Yes. I think the only time that it was bad was in the first one because his voice cracked. Because it was the highest. PO2 was the highest. Yeah. And my PO1 Ganu sang it with ease. Every time everyone just preferred the other person.
I would have given it to Jay over Sunghoon.
Yeah. That was the one that I was like, oh, Jay sounds really good here.
Yeah. Because Jay has like a really pop voice.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is very nice to listen to.
Yeah. Which is why you think sometimes he is the rapper, because he has more of the like rhythmic lines that could be rap lines.
Yeah.
But when he gets to the end of it, end of the 7,
oh God,
he unfortunately kind of like just let his emotions out, and he was like, well, what's the point anymore?
I'm not going to go for it.
I'm not going to go for it. Just tell me whatever you get, because he's so frustrated because after like 5 times auditioning,
and on one hand, like there is a part of me that's like, don't be a sourpuss. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, like you would feel so humiliated. And he says that after 6 rounds of auditions and none of them went to him. Like, and he's trying so hard
every time.
It's so earnest. This is my thing. I say it every time. I love
when idols are earnest. Yeah. It's like the best part of a survival show. You're seeing like how bad they want it and how they really want to try.
Yes.
I think the thing for Jay is that I think
it's a meritocracy.
The optics and the politics of being in that room is that it just looks like, well, he just wants 2 lines and he doesn't really care what line he gets as long as he wants the 2 lines.
Right.
Which to a person that's listening, the other person may sound better, or sometimes you would be like, well, they just wanted that one part, you know?
Yeah.
They were like, they were more thoughtful about what they actually wanted to do, because it just ended up making Jay look like, well, he doesn't care as long as he gets 2 lines.
Right. Meanwhile on ground, Hanbin was like, well, girls. I guess I'm leading
I'm leading the group because I am the one that
like had a dance crew
he was Vietnam. The leader. He led his own dance crew in Vietnam.
Right.
Oh, we've got a Hanbin disciple in the comments, mama.
Oh, yes. Shout out to you.
Shout out to you,
Shout
Miss
out
Girl.
to you, who is literally like, I'm never watching this again, but I will watch these recaps and give you fun Hanbin facts the whole time. I love it.
I love it. And I mean, she ate. Like, she really like led the group.
Hanbin?
And and like was helping everyone. Like very like picking out like, hey, come do this with me.
Yes.
To like learn the
It's
parts.
it's cool to see the different leadership styles appearing in this episode.
Oh, you want to talk leadership styles. Oh, you want to talk about leadership styles.
I do, because that's where we're going back to Iland. And Youngbin and Jake,
who are the least amount of trainees,
are, I would say,
struggling.
The slowest at
picking it up. Absolutely.
And if I was in the room, honey, they would be miles ahead of me.
Yeah, girl. And during because heesung has been voted PO1, he and Niki have really been like, because they're the fastest in learning it, they are trying to teach everyone and judge everyone. And they all kind of like agreed like, well, let's do your parts one at a time. Like the chorus.
Yeah. Let's see.
And Youngbin and a few other people, but Youngbin specifically felt a type of way about it because he was like, I felt really humiliated because it's like, I know I'm the slowest.
Yeah.
So this just feels like I know what feedback I'm going to get. Which, like, if it was like Boys Planet, where it's like, okay, here's the signal song, you learn it all morning, and then you start doing it in front of the dance masters, then I'm like, okay, because this is treated fairly, like, this is the same bar for everyone.
Yes. The other thing I think is interesting is, at least what we were shown in the episode, is they do not get together to decide who the leader is. Which I think would help if there was like, we've all selected, or there's been a majority vote that like Heesung is going to, and I understand that like they voted him as PO1, so maybe they were insinuating he's also going to lead this. But from what I gathered, it was like, we voted you as PO1, and then like there seemed to be a gap, and so Niki and Heesung like helped. Together were like, well, let's be the dance captains basically. And I think you can start to resent if you already feel bad, if you're already in a mental space where you're like,
I'm the slowest person.
I'm the slowest. This is hard. I'm having a hard time. You now also start to resent the people who you are picking up so
way
easily.
Better than you are,
and
now they're telling you what to do.
They're telling you what to do, and they're like they've ascertained this power through like a means that has not been like agreed upon in like a formal way. So Youngbin gets really upset. Yeah. First of all, they have Jake. They do like Jake's audition, and they were like, "You did really great." Mm-hmm.
And sweet. Youngbin, the one they showed us, Heesung was like, "You just lacked confidence when you were dancing up there."
Yeah, and it doesn't. I want to commend Heesung for like, he's just like stating like, "Oh, it's just like, I really want you to work on your confidence." Like, that's really all you need to work on, because it's fine other than that. He's not like overly annoying about, like, he's really just like,
no,
cleanly giving his
he's
notes.
not like dance like what Rain does later, where he's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do this, let's
Boot
do this,
camp.
let's do this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not boot camp at all. But Youngmin is feeling a type of way, and the most interesting part about this is that he talks to other people about it. He makes sure that it's not just him that feels it. So I want to say he talked to like Son.
He talks to Sun. He talks to Kay.
Mm-hmm.
He talks to Gonu.
Yeah, he talks to a group of people to be like, hey, it feels like the way heesung's
I think
kind of
Daniel
like
also.
training us is like, it doesn't work for everyone. Like he comes at it as like,
Yes.
it made me feel really embarrassed. But I
Yes.
just don't think that it's
a
like,
it's a very emotionally honest conversation.
Yeah, totally.
In a way where, like, it's kind of shocking that they're being
That, like,
this emotionally
teenage boys
open
are,
about
like,
it.
talking about it.
Because I feel like a lot of boys would just like ignore it,
Suck it up and
push
then
it
just
down.
do it. Yep, which is what Niki does. So they get everyone together and like
they have an intervention.
and Youngbin is fully like, hey, can we get everyone here, blah 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 blah. And they tell Heesung that like they just don't think that him teaching or leading makes everyone feel good or whatever. I don't even know. That's the thing. I'm not even like finding the conflict of like, is it because they just think it's not supportive enough?
I'm
Do they
only
think
flashing back to Zhang Hao during Kill This Love when he like cried because Min
he
felt
couldn't
bad.
He couldn't like fix the problem.
They like understand the full responsibility of what it means to be a leader.
Yes.
And they do not take it lightly. They are so serious about
Yeah.
it. And when they're called out, if they do something wrong, or even if they feel like they have done something wrong,
yeah.
they like get very emotional about it because they're only trying their best.
Yes.
So Heesung is like, I did not
didn't
want to be a
want
one. I don't want to be a leader.
because I knew that this was
said
going to happen
from the beginning. This is going to happen, and it's going to like fall back.
that
on
people
me.
I probably work in a different way than everyone else's. And so I know people are not going to like the way I am very probably like methodical or just drill about things.
And especially if you don't have experience as like teaching court or like, it's one thing to be a good dancer and it's another thing to teach dance.
Yeah. So they end up deciding
oh my God.
as a group
Oh my God.
to make Niki the PO1 instead because he already knows the choreography.
He's technically probably the best dancer there.
And he's the best dancer.
Yeah.
And Heesung had to default being P10
Uh-huh.
instead.
Uh-huh.
And there's a moment where he basically just like spends time by himself. He looks like he's crying, but I don't think he does.
I don't think he cries in this episode.
But I think he's just very disappointed.
In what
Probably
has happened.
in what has happened. I don't know if he's disappointed in himself. I think he's just probably super bummed because he probably had a feeling that this was going to happen.
Yeah, and of course he doesn't want anyone to feel like bad about what they're doing.
Yes.
Because it also, purely from a selfish standpoint, it's going to weaken the group.
Yeah.
If you have someone like
feeling like they are left out
Yes.
or they're being isolated.
the whole point of like the way this show is set up is to build that teamwork.
Everyone is unified. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's shift over to ground. They have their first submission to the producers
Video.
And
everyone's dealing it in different ways. Some people are doing okay. Some people are really struggling.
J-Bomb, our
Our
beloved
beloved
Ichan,
Ichan. Like, didn't
just
really
blanks.
have just blanks. No choreography.
No
No
choreo.
lyrics.
Couldn't remember the lyrics.
And he like gets really sad, and Hanbin is the one that kind of like at first it's like it's okay, we have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like we're just gonna I'll teach you
Consoles
tomorrow.
him.
We're gonna do it. And he kind of just like lets go. And after everyone is done, like they all comfort him
It is
together.
So, It is very touching.
It's very touching.
Because in ground, they are competing against each other, right? Like technically
they're getting spots.
But really, they are competing against themselves at the moment.
Yeah.
They are like, it is all about like proving that you are working as hard as possible, and then hopefully the producers see that and send you to ground if there's spots open. And I think because of that, because there's no way for another person's bad job to affect your score, it's so much easier to just like provide empathy. And
because ultimately everyone in ground, like you are the one to make yourself.
Yeah.
You are the only person that can help yourself in that situation.
Yeah, ground is not a team effort situation.
No. Unlike Iland, where it's like we all have to average the fuck up.
Yes.
In order to keep this strong.
Yes.
Which like
it's crazy because there's two completely different survival shows happening at the same time. That is, I think, what is really impressive about the concept of the show is like there are literally two entirely different programs running at the same time. There's something that I really connect with on Ichan.
I am the same
where like
way.
the one thing that really stood out to me is he is like very quick to do a bit if like something goes wrong, if he messes up. And I'm very much a person who does that. And then when you don't have that ability and you still mess up and there's nothing to fall back on and you haven't developed the skill of like saving yourself or ending something gracefully because you rely on comedy.
Yep.
It is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that was the worst part of watching him is I was like, I have been in those situations where there's nothing I can do and I don't know how to save myself.
Because when they were practicing for this choreography and he was like clearly not picking it up as fast, he was just deflecting it. He was making jokes. Yeah. He was telling EJ like, hey, where do you hang out? Exactly what he does in Switch. It's exactly what he did in Switch and Boys Planet.
That can be very exhausting.
Yeah.
To like have someone who's just like, it's not even worth me trying.
Yes. Because everyone here is trying.
And that's like Umotsi got upset with him back in Switch. But I also really empathize with him because I think it's not, if you haven't developed that skill, you just haven't developed that skill. And I do think I think he's really talented.
Here's the thing with Ichan. Here's the thing with our beloved Ichan. Because he is such
our beloved
Ichan. Because he is such a talented producer, singer, songwriter. I think because all of that comes easy to him, I think he was either convinced, he was told by very important people that it's like, well, the path is to be an idol.
It's giving gifted and talented program.
Yes. So he goes
never had to study before in his life.
Yes. I really think he probably got it really easy. This is my college experience. In school, in like just being talented because has this beautiful voice and he writes like great music that he probably went into the idol business and was like, oh yeah, this is I can coast, I can figure it out when I'm there because I'm really good on my feet because I'm talented in these things. And he realizes that like no, because I truly like his last performance in Boys Planet was amazing.
Yes.
Like really featured him.
Yes.
Because it featured all of his strengths. I really empathize.
I see a lot of myself in him.
I see a lot of myself in him being someone who like can easily pick something up, you know, just like always being talented in that way. Main vocal for sure. Being a talented songwriter, being a talented producer, you know, producing the Ampliverse content. So, you know, I really, really see. That's why I call him my beloved Ichan. My beloved Ichan.
Back in Iland, they get summoned. They have to go into the egg.
They have to go into the egg, girl.
And Rain.
You know what? It's episode 2 and I'm tired of this ugly fucking egg and I'm tired of all the fucking concrete. What in the brutalist ass is the inside of...
Why are we in a Soviet nation? Like, what is happening? There's so much brutalism going on.
We are in the damn bunker. Well, first of all, he's coaching them. He's like, okay, let me see you do the dancing. And then as soon as they stop dancing, he's like, drill sergeant ass. Okay, get in a fucking line formation and start fucking singing. Go.
Which they should be able to do.
Which they should be able to do. And then afterwards, he was like, okay, now let's do that all together. And his main thing was like, y'all.
You have to be able to sing and dance.
You have to sing and dance
Actually,
at the same time.
It's kind of the basic requirement of being an idol.
Truly, the main thing, can you sing and dance together at the same time? That's kind of the thing.
That's the whole gig. That's actually the whole gig.
Which is hard because if you don't have someone that's like a main vocal or like thinks about vocals as their priority in that island group, no one's pushing for that. They're all just thinking about choreography. But I think it is more of a generation thing.
Okay, this is the goop
This
and the
is
gag.
the goop and the gag. And
this is what I got mad about.
Yes, because this is just like, you just did this for the show. This isn't, I don't think this would actually be beneficial for them, especially in the first challenge. This is definitely a second or third.
Yeah, he tells them that the platforms that they're dancing on are going to be moving while they dance.
So you better stay in fucking formation because you could fall.
And I just... To what end?
They're just throwing shit in.
Cool, fine. But like, okay. The point of Idol survival shows is you put them in situations where you can be like, you have to do this as an idol.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Yep.
I'm going to tell you something right now. There is no world in which any idol is ever going to have to perform on a moving platform and have like no rehearsal on that platform. I'm sorry. This is the one thing that I was like, this is so niche. What do you even test? What's the point of the test? Doing the test on its own is fine. They already have to this is their first official performance, knowing that like the producers are watching. This is their first time in a group.
Yes.
This is like a brand new song, brand new choreo. There's already so many things going on. I just feel like adding another layer. I was like,
you're just making it hard.
Take one thing off.
Take one thing off, girl.
Take one thing off before you leave the house.
Take the damn earrings off.
Can I say something about Niki on the show so far? Niki on this show.
It's like, it's very typical dancer. Like, it's
so my God, what is it? Explain. Dancers, explain yourselves.
Come on.
Why are you so hard on yourselves? You guys have
yourself?
To calm down. It's very that, but it's also like there's something about him that feels like he is giving the Hiroto speech in Boys Planet where he was like,
this is my last chance.
This is my last chance. And I need him to know you're 14 years old. Even if this doesn't work out, you are so fucking talented. You are still 4 years away from being an adult, 5 from being an adult in Korea.
Yeah.
Like, what are we even discussing, girl? You have to calm down. You have to breathe. Okay. What's going on?
It's so hard. You just get such tunnel vision when you're in there, in that situation, and you're just focusing on that I do wish that they're able to like. I wish they were all able to be like, okay, I can relax. I need to relax.
Yeah, but of course they can't.
But they can't.
Of course they can't. Let's talk about this song. Let's talk about this performance. First of all, visuals, this blue and white. How do we feel?
It's cute.
It's fine.
I almost wish it's a very saturated, demure. It feels under the radar.
I feel like the song is very short.
Yeah.
Hence why 5 people get one line in the song.
Because there's 12 people.
Because there's 12 people in the song. Because in the group. So I feel like you don't get enough time with a bunch of people. I would have rather them had like maybe 2 groups of 6. So then you could at least like do it that way. But whatever, it's fine. I'll just say this. The score that they receive is 59.
59, because the girls are averaging 40s.
Yeah.
Their highest score was 75.
The highest score was 75. Yeah.
I think it was Ganu. Because Zico like smiled when Ganu was on screen.
Yeah, I wonder.
Or Probably heesung.
I don't know if it was heesung. He had so little to do. I mean, I would notice him whenever he was like on the screen, even if he was in the back, because he's such a star. But I think Jungwon does really good.
Yeah.
I think Gonu does really good. I think those were the two that like stood out to me in the performance that I was like, oh.
The people that stood out that I could tell were like struggling a little bit were
Niki,
Jake, because his
but
mic
not.
pack falls.
I mean, obviously
No,
not dancing.
no.
It was purely his vocals.
Yeah.
Were like, and they did mention that like he didn't know, he wasn't like doing anything with his face.
Yeah. I noticed Nicholas was also struggling. He looked really robotic and stiff, even though he like was serving face.
Yeah.
And then Jake.
Sunghoon is like just all like limbs.
Yeah. And Jake, obviously, because his mic.
Not like in a
fell.
bad way, but just very limmy.
Yeah. But I was they were all shocked, obviously. But to me, it didn't seem like it was like a standout signal song performance.
No.
But I didn't expect it to be that low. I really thought it was going to be like, they were going to lose 3 people.
I thought they were going to lose 3 or 4 people.
They end up losing 6, which is
They end up losing all 6.
most that you can lose.
Yeah.
So now they have to vote half of themselves off.
Yeah, off the island. So who do you think
they'll vote off?
Who do you think they'll vote off? I think they're going to get... I don't know if they're going to get rid of Niki.
I don't know either.
Because I still think they're too impressed by his talent.
But
I just think they would never make him PO1 again.
Yeah, but they would keep him.
But I think they would keep him on the island.
This is really tough. I think who they'll keep...
Heesung,
Gonu.
I think they'll keep Jungwon.
Jungwon.
I think they'll keep Sunghoon.
I think they'll keep Sunghoon. I think they'll keep Jae.
I don't know if they'll keep Jae.
Oh, really?
I think he does end up staying, is my
Yeah.
guess. Because I don't remember him ever hearing about him going to ground.
Yeah.
But I don't feel as strongly about Jae.
And I think they'll keep Son.
Yeah, because he's played the game.
He's playing the game. So that means Daniel, Jake, K, Nicholas, Youngbin,
Niki.
Niki. Niki is a question mark.
I think they would send Jae before they sent Niki. I think it's also very interesting because they show everybody's individual scores, but they do not tell you who's.
They don't show names.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. I wish they had shown names. And then I realized it's because they have to vote on each other. And if you showed the names, they would just vote who the bottom 6 scores were
Yeah.
to make it easier. But like, in terms of like the mental game, you shouldn't know.
Yeah.
So that you can, it's also like you're playing producer as well. Like you should be able to look around and see like who's keeping up, blah, 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 blah. Because if the idea is also like you want to build the group that works cohesively together, it's like it's a fascinating concept of a show.
I know. Oh my God. This is too much thinking for listening.
They're just so isolated. That's the weirdest part. I don't even know if it is like the surveillance thing, because like I don't know. They all to some extent kind of like show a bunch of backstage stuff and whatever. And idols are so in front of cameras so much that it's not ideal, but it is what it is. But I think it's like truly they are like plucked into the wilderness to do this.
It's Lord of the Flies.
Who do you think?
It's hard to say who I think will be brought up in ground because we barely see.
We barely saw anything.
Actually like how they're doing in ground. I'm gonna guess Hanbin is probably.
I'm gonna guess Hanbin. I'm gonna guess
Sunoo.
I'm gonna guess.
I don't think Taki. I'm gonna guess the EJ.
I'm gonna guess Taki only because if they're what they're showing in their like things to the producers, I feel like Taki would probably pick that up quicker. than the other girls.
He has a better chance of showing progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else?
EJ, I said. That's all. I can't fill out anyone else because I truly haven't seen them.
Yeah, we haven't really seen them.
So
great. Well,
Iland 2
in the books.
It's such a fascinating show. We're not cracking a lot of jokes. I think it's because the show is so cerebral. It's really making me think about it's interesting because it's showing us what the idols think matters in an idol group.
Yes, what they value.
What they are valuing.
Yes.
So it's very fascinating and that's masculinity. Just so crazy.
Yeah. See ya.
Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.